What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Source and Company. I am your host, Source, of course. Today's company, if you're on TikTok, you already know who it is, especially if you rock with the hip hop music and the rap talk community. It's Adri. Say what's up to Adri, y'all. Tap the screen. Share the live. Do something. Do something. How you doing, A?
I'm doing pretty good. Happy to be here. Wouldn't be anywhere else.
Excellent. I appreciate you. You are always giving with your time, and I appreciate it because you could have been anywhere else in the world, but you're here with me, and I appreciate that.
Of course, of course.
All right, gotta reference Jay-Z every once in a while. Let's get in. Let's go straight in, because we're doing what, an hour? We're doing an hour. It is all right. So we're gonna do a solid hour. Plus, I gotta get my FanDuel lineup straight before 7:30 because it's NBA kickoff or tip off tonight. So anyway, let's go in. We're doing topics. We're gonna do a few topics. If y'all have some, feel free to throw them in the comments. Not saying that we won't talk about them, but you might have something spicy that we might get to. So let's dig in. Not now, but right now. Hey, off top, somebody asked earlier. I thought it was an interesting question, and I really hadn't thought about asking it, and I know it might take a minute for you to think about it. Most overlooked hip hop group member. Any group, any collective, overlooked member. I know. I was like, and I read it hours ago, and I was still like, I don't know. I don't know.
I think the first one that comes to mind would be within Odd Future. People typically think of Earl Sweatshirt, Tyler the Creator, Frank Ocean. Although Frank Ocean, some people give him the rapper title. I personally don't give him that title. I think that's really generous. I don't think he himself considers him a rapper. I think that Damo Genesis of Odd Future is incredibly underrated. I think he's well respected within his niche, like within like the backpack rapper category, but he does not have nearly as many flowers as like Earl and Tyler do. And I think he dropped an album in 2012 called No Idols, and it wasn't on streaming platforms for a really long time. It just got added to streaming platforms this year. And I've seen so many people say like, "Oh my God, like this is album of the year, like this is so good, like where did he come from?" And I'm like, "No, he's been out. This album has been out for like a decade now, and he's just not he doesn't get as much attention as his counterparts do." But I say that's my answer.
Dang, that's great. You did that quick. Look, like I said, I saw the question earlier today. I've been like, man, I have no clue. I have no clue. But of course, I'm gonna do an older artist, and it just popped in my head. J. Rowe from the Alcoholics just popped in my head out the blue. J. Rowe from the Alcoholics. Everybody talks about Tash Catastrophe because he had the punchlines. He was the witty one. He was the live wire as far as on with bars. Then you got E Swift on the production side, but J. Rowe's always dope. Always been dope. Always will be dope. Shout out to my guy Unc. What up? He said, "True Roy the Dove. Rest in peace, Dave." Thank you, Dave. Yeah, actually, De La is one of those groups that when we have those conversations about the best MCs, I think that group members get overlooked. Outside of Andre 3000, group members get overlooked. No matter how dope they are, if they're in a group and they never had solo work or didn't have a lot of solo work, people are like, yeah, but they're part of a group, or they just don't mention them. Have you ever considered that?
Yeah, I think it's interesting too because I feel like Andre 3000 really is the only exception. Because when I made a video about Lauryn Hill, that was like a thing that came up a lot. Like, oh well, most of her rapping is when she was in a group, so that doesn't count. And I'm like, well, it still counts. Like she was still rapping. It's just it depends on like what specifically is the conversation we're having. If the conversation is about like best rap album, then yeah, obviously it doesn't count. But like it's still. I also think like features and yeah, features are often left out a lot. Like in any conversation about Ghostface, I'm gonna mention Cuban Links, even though that's not his album, because his contributions to it really made the album. But yeah, I agree.
Right.
Yeah, group members, especially the ones that aren't like who like the very front of the group, definitely left out
Mm-hmm.
a lot.
Yeah, Inspector Deck probably is the person that people would go to in a question like this of the person that's overlooked. They'd be like, "Oh, Inspector Deck, he's the best in the group," and but yeah, he gets a lot of that. I'm not gonna say
That
it's
was the
hype,
first.
but he gets a lot of that.
That was actually the first one I thought of. I thought it was too obvious. I thought it was too, and also too, like he's one of those where it's like any person, you don't even have to be super deep into hip hop to know to like, have some respect for Inspector Deck. I think it's like relatively like commonly understood that he's one of the better lyricists in the group and that like he held his own in his own way, maybe not so much in his solo projects compared to
Right,
some of his other the other members, but I think he almost doesn't count because he's pretty well respected.
right. I see you, Andre. What up, though? Andre says Styles P all day. I I think Styles P gets a lot of credit, but
Yeah.
maybe not to the level you're saying. Like if I went to the locks, I'm definitely going to Donnie. Sheik is my guy. I don't care what nobody say. I don't care what nobody say. I like Sheik. She gets busy. She gets busy. So I just want to put that out there because he don't get no love at all. Fat lip from the far side on the list for me. I can respect that. I was thinking earlier. I was like, dog. As much as I listen to Souls of Mischief, when I think of Souls, I think of Far Side. Even though it's Hyro, I think of Far Side. And I was like, if somebody said name all the members of Souls of Mischief right now, I would have to stop and think. I
I
couldn't do it
struggle.
like
Yeah. I'd have to get a
even
pen and paper.
I think it's Taj, Opio, uh, A plus, and Taj, Opio, and the other one is Pep Love. I think. Don't give me the line. Don't give me the line. All right, so I have a theory. I
Hmm.
have a theory. It might hold no water, no weight, but you let me know. I think, and I'm sure you've had a million people ask you about Drake and his new album and all that. It's not about that, but it is about Drake. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'll apologize now. I think that Drake is, a great artist. I think that Drake is a great artist. I think he makes songs for the times. But what I think a lot of people's issue is that I've never heard people actually like articulate is that yes, you say Drake makes music for the moment or tries to make music for what's popular in the moment. Saying that is true, but what he doesn't do is make music like from himself. Does that make sense? Like I think that let's say, well, you saw to mention the Styles P. Let's say Styles P.
Hmm.
I think that Styles P would love to sell 5 million records, but Styles P is not going to go outside of himself to sell. Like if he can reach a million records, let's say 500,000. If he can reach 500,000 records being himself and doing what he wants to do, I think he'd rather do that than be outside of himself and sell 5 million records. Drake will sell however many records he can without going deep inside himself. I hope this makes some kind of sense because I hear myself and maybe I'm not articulating it as well as I think I can. I'm gonna stop talking so I can regather my thoughts. But you heard what I said. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think I know where you're coming from. I think with Drake, there's a couple things happening. One is I think he consistently goes through somewhat of an identity crisis. If and I don't mean that as a diss. I just mean like he does kind of hop around in terms of, styles and he hops around to different cultures and things like that. Like we've seen it happen, which to some people may come across as him being versatile and experimenting. That's cool. But I think in order, like before experimenting, you need to have like more of a solidified identity and way that you present yourself that Drake never really had because his identity was always just like what's popular right now. And the thing is, like, I don't think that's like inherently an issue because, we're always going to need radio music. We're always going to need music for the club. We're always going to need like, Drake fills like a need that's, something that's needed within the industry. And if Drake got more specific, got more like if he put himself in like a very specific lane and never left that, he wouldn't be Drake. Like we wouldn't know what people, he wouldn't be as accessible. And he has to be more like vague and have a little bit less substance and, kind of jump around a little bit in order to be accessible to so many people. So I feel like it's strategic. I like to, I think it might not have been strategic in the beginning. It might have just been him like not knowing what to do. But then he's like, oh, well, this kind of works. So why would I change it if it works?
Fair. I don't know if I've told you this before, but I'm sure I mentioned it, in passing. Drake used to rock with people from here. My man Nick Fury, Nicholas F. Like when Drake first started rapping, him and Nick used to write together, and Nick is dope. Nick is like lyrical underground type dope.
Mhm.
Um, but what I was told by, let's see, I don't know if you know of Michael Millions. There's a rapper named Michael Millions. His brother's a producer, Name Brand. Name Brand submitted some beats to Drake early, before Drake was Drake. Drake would send back songs or record songs rapping because he wanted to be a rapidy rapper. That was his thing. That's why I say when people say Drake can't rap, I'm like Drake can rap. Like you can't say he can't rap. Like that's not true. But anyway, one day Drake sends a message back based on one of the beats. He's like, I'm going to try something different with this. That is what Name Brand says. Drake came with the sing songy style. So Name Brand's like, I don't care what nobody say. My beats, you know, led him to where he where he is now. Led him to become the sing songy rapper, whether that's for better or for worse. So, I feel like whatever some of us like want from him, some people want from him is in there. And yeah, I think it's strategic, like you said. It's just a decision. If it's selling, why go elsewhere?
Yeah. Why?
Yeah, I say
I,
it.
and like, here's the thing. I feel like when it comes to Drake, it like conversations about him are a lot easier if you don't include him in certain conversations or just in general. Certain conversations about certain rappers are not going to go anywhere because you have them in conversations that they don't belong in. And Drake is one of those that always ends up in the wrong conversation. Like, for example, the whole thing with Joe Budden. First off, I thought that a lot of like Joe Budden's critiques I think were pretty accurate, and I think that Drake also knew that they were accurate because based off of his response, he was pretty hurt. Drake was pretty hurt because I feel like it's clear
He
that Drake
was.
was once a fan of Joe Budden, and well, that kind of hit a little bit deep. But I feel like the one little snippet that people ran with in that thing from Joe Budden was the whole like, oh, he doesn't make music that's mature. And it's like you can't like are you expecting like Kendrick? Are you expecting like what do you mean? I feel like that specific critique is just like really it's like we're just going around in circles. We're just going around in circles. We're not going to get anywhere with this because he doesn't make that type of music. Now, the point of him like making music specifically for like young girls and like flirting with women in their early 20s, that's the part where I was like, yeah, like no, he's spinning right now. Like he made some points. But the point of him like, oh, Drake, he needs to mature, like that's not even a consistent. When has that ever been a critique for anyone ever? Like that's like y'all just made that up. Like we just ran with this. But like why is that alone enough to like call him a bad rapper because his future is not mature? I've never heard anyone complain about that. Like Young Thug's music is not particularly mature, and he still is like one of the most influential, people in hip hop within the last decade. So just keep when it comes to Drake, just put him in the conversations that he applies to, and then all of a sudden there's a lot less to argue about.
Right. Oh, I like all that. I like all that. And that's a great point about that one statement. Although, even if Joe didn't make that one statement, like the arguments or the people that disagree with Joe would still say the same thing, just without that obvious one statement that could be disputed. But they'd still say, like, oh, you. And then Drake's comments would not have been any different. He would have said the same thing. And yeah, it was not that I have any deep feelings about Drake as a person. Like I don't know how he is, but that I'm not soft because I don't like when people say somebody's soft based on random stuff. But it was just it was a weird response. It was weird. It was a weird response to somebody critiquing you. I got more money than you. Is that what we're going with? Like, is that the only thing?
Right. I'm sure
You're a failed rapper.
If Joe Budden decided to make Drake's type of music, I'm sure he would have more money too. Like I mean I feel like that's it's such a cop out. Even like when fans of music revert to like because and I'm not gonna say which rapper's fan group does this the most, but I feel like y'all know who I'm talking about, reverting to
Don't say
sales.
it, please don't.
I'm not gonna say it, but like that's always such a cheap cop out because it's like it's not like especially once you've reached like once you have the platform, it's not hard to sell out. I'm not saying that Drake is a sellout, but like it's and like in theory, most rappers have what it takes to to go more mainstream and sell out if they do it the right way. That's not a
Right.
flex. I'm sorry, that's not a flex.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Do you think do you think Drake ever will? Well, first of all, let me back up because the maturity thing, great point. Because the maturity music thing, I should say. Yeah, you listed a number of rappers. Like, of course, we could talk Coke rap alone, 40 plus year old Coke rap, and you have a whole plethora of people to choose from that you want to say make more mature music. Yet you love them. We love them. We all love them. And Drake's what 36, whatever he is, and now people want him to be more mature. Yeah, that's kind of a wild statement. It's a wild statement. Shout out to Wiles. Speaking of wild statements, uh, Wiles, Kendall, what up? Harp, I saw you. Will, what's happening? And of course, Autumn. Hey, Autumn. All right, 37. Thank you, Queenie. Yeah. Am I mistaken, or did you once say you made beats, or you tried making beats, or you want to make beats, or something like that?
I've made two beats in my entire life. One was a Quincy Jones sample, and the other was Sly and the Family Stone. Only one was good. The second one, I got a little too confident and it sounded like pots and pans. But the first one is pretty good. I unfortunately am not the owner of that beat. It's on somebody else's computer that I don't talk to anymore, so I don't have access to it. But but like that
Ooh.
person makes music, so if I hear that song, best believe I am claiming the beat. I am claiming it.
Let them know. Let them know. That's funny. That's funny. What got you into beat making?
It was really just I mean I have a lot of friends, maybe not a lot of friends, but I have like, I have some friends that make music. Like naturally, especially in Atlanta, I feel like people that are into similar like music scenes kind of gravitate towards each other. So I have some friends
Right.
that, rap or make beats or, whatnot. And when it comes to pretty much anything creative, if you say to me like I have the equipment or I have the supplies, you want to try it, I'll be like, sure, why not? I'm not gonna go out of my way to like purchase any of that. I might mess around on GarageBand if because it's already on my computer, but yeah, it was just like, why not? It sounds fun.
You tried rapping? I know you tipsy freestyle, but
Mhm.
have you tried rapping?
Not really. Um, yeah, no, I don't have, I honestly just don't have the confidence, like confidence in my ability to rap. I feel like I could be a great ghostwriter one day. I don't think I have what it's like. I don't think I would have like the delivery or flow. I'm sure after a while I could like, work on myself and develop and become better. But I don't know. I don't
You don't
think.
care that much. Just say it. It's all
Yeah,
right.
I don't. Yeah, it's not for like the way that I see other people talk about rappers, especially female rappers. That's not my game to win or lose. Like y'all got it. I'll stick to reviews.
Shoot, you get the same, not the same level, of course, but the same type of hate. I don't. Is it hate? I don't know what to call it.
Yeah, that is true. Once you put yourself in this like scene, it's you're you it's a war zone. But I do think that it's like if I'm gonna critique music or speak on other people's music the way that I do, and then make music, I really need to step. Like it really like for me to talk, and I feel like I'm not even a really a shit talker when it comes to reviews. Like I don't, I'm not. I feel like I feel like I tend to mainly stick to the more positive reviews. If I have something negative to say, I'll probably just like not review it. So I try to say relatively positive or neutral. But you know, the way people are in here, anything that's less than worship is considered shit talking. So, you know, they would I feel like my music, if I were to put anything out, would be under such like a very harsh microscope that it would just like I would be losing. I mean, I'm sure that there's obviously the other way around. There's obviously people too that'd be like that'd be there to support me. You know that they'd be down for it. But I don't want to say never. I don't want to say never. If the opportunity presents itself, I might I might see what you know see what can come of it.
Cash, what up, though? You know, Cash got to pull up. He probably pulled up when somebody said Drake, and he just
Oh,
popped in like,
summoned him.
I know, Cash. Don't do me like that, Source. I know. It's gonna be in the comments in a second. Don't do me like that. I know that's your guy though. It's cool. It's all right. Don't let nobody make you feel no type of way about Drake or your liking of Drake. It's all right. It's all right. All right. So we talk hip hop all the time, but I wanted to, you know, throw some other things. Like I don't have a list or anything, but just in my mind, I'm like, we never talk about anything outside of music. I mean, we have a little bit, but not like I don't know anything. For instance, I know you lived in Connecticut, and I know that we talked about Connecticut pizza a while back, and how
Mm-hmm.
you say Connecticut pizza is the best pizza that ever
Top
pizza.
tier. Mm-hmm.
Okay, what is your go to food? Well, I won't say too much about your personal life, but what is your go to meal? Let's say if you know. Now I don't want to say last days on earth or anything like that, but just something that you go towards. Like me, if there's tacos around, I'm in. If there's shrimp around, I'm in. Those two things, shrimp or tacos. Everything else is cool. What
Mm-hmm.
about you?
I feel like this is like such a huge umbrella, but I'm a pretty big fan of any type of Asian food. I really like Korean barbecue specifically. But yeah, any type Korean, Indian. I had Laotian food for the first time a couple weeks ago. That was fire. Pretty much any type of honestly, any type of like ethnic food, like I'm gravitating towards.
You said Lohu?
Laotian.
Is there a country called Laotia somewhere? What am I missing?
I
What is
might be
Laotian?
pronouncing it wrong, but you the country. I think like maybe I feel like if I spelled it out, you would know what I'm talking about. Yeah, Laos. That country.
Oh, Laos. Yo, hey, maybe it is Laotian.
The
That
people
that
at the rest. That's
that
how the
makes some
people at the
sense.
restaurant pronounced it. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna tell y'all how to pronounce your own. You know, your own.
Wow. Okay, you got me with that joint because I definitely wasn't thinking. I'm an easy person. Just make some cutlets and mashed potatoes, and I'm there. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. So where you live, you mentioned it already, but where you live is a lot of things. It's a lot of things. I don't know if I ever told you about. I mean, I've been to your city probably 8 times, probably 8 times. One of the more recent times, I just remember my youngest daughter, and I were walking to wherever, and this man and woman came out of a restaurant because we were kind of lost. We were like, "Hey, where is the blah blah blah?" Man, if you would have seen the way they looked at us and walked away without saying, I was like, "Oh, it's like that." I mean, I know it's like that. I know it's like that, but dang, that was kind of like even my daughter. She was probably 12. She was like, "Yeah, that was straight." That word that we use. Um, has that was that even a thought, or is that even a major part of your day to day in that city?
You're talking about Atlanta or?
Yeah, I'm talking about Atlanta. I'm
Okay.
talking about Atlanta.
For a second, I'm like,
But
I knew.
you know,
I was like, you've been to Connecticut 8 times? That don't sound right.
yeah, I've been to Connecticut once, and it was last year, last May, and it was brick in
Yeah,
May, brick, wind blowing, rain going sideways. It was out of control. It was like 30 some degrees. It was crazy.
that sounds about right. But I feel like I don't know. I feel like my specific Atlanta experience is always like I feel like I have a lot. Okay, let me back up a little bit. Most people that I know, or most of my friends, are also transplants. People that are not originally from Atlanta. I have some
Right.
from DC, couple from like New York City, and there's a major difference between people that are from big cities, people from small towns. People from small towns that move to Atlanta, you have not lived in any other major city, love Atlanta. They're like, it's great. This is amazing. Like what? Like I couldn't complain. I have no complaints. People from other big cities are like, it's all right. Like, they have a billion different things to nitpick. So I feel like any negative experience I've had in Atlanta is always like, well, at least it's not Connecticut. Like, it could be, there's probably a worse version of this. There's probably a worse version of this experience in Connecticut. The only thing that I think Atlanta has that's worse is the humidity is worse, the traffic is worse, and I've seen more um I don't know if I can say that the C word on here. Southern pride flags down here. But
Oh yeah.
aside from that, I don't think I've had any of like those types of experiences really.
Hmm. Well, that's dope. That's good. That's a good
Yeah.
thing. That's a positive.
But I also like strategically stay in like specific areas. I think I've visited most of um like most different parts of the city, but I know which ones to avoid because I like to stay where I'm welcome. I like to stay, where I see people that look like me and act like me. And I feel like that's a lot of people's problem. Like the people that have a negative perception of Atlanta, you're not around people that act like you or like the same things as you or, whatever. So, if you spend all of your days in like Midtown, you're probably going to hate Atlanta. Or if you spend all of your days at the hookah
Hmm.
lounge or at brunch, you're probably going to say like, "Oh, this city is horrible." Like, yeah, I would probably think that too if I never left those two areas, but that's just my experience.
Word. Astro. I think it's Astro. I'm going with Astro until somebody tells me different. Uh, just to backtrack, shrimp tacos are my go-to. Go-to, if it's possible, it's happening. And you just said something else.
Actually,
You
that is
just said
not the
something else.
word. That's not the word I was thinking of. It's funny you
Oh,
mentioned that. That's not the word I was thinking of.
oh, and yeah, that's the other thing I was gonna say. Yeah, that's not the word. This one has a flag. It's a flag
Yeah,
uh, that represents certain people, a
you were
certain
kind
group
of
of people.
close. You were kind of close.
Yeah, a little bit, a little bit. Um, so I know people, even in this conversation, somebody said, uh, "Let's talk about how it feels to have a young, pretty girl who likes hip hop." And there was something like that in general, which leads me to uh, your personal business.
Mhm.
Not really, but uh, dating. Not asking that. Dating turnoffs. Do you have anything that's a strong turnoff? I really want to bring. I want to get to this whole list, and I know it's not. I'm not a list guy, but that whole lady with the Cheesecake Factory, and I got questions. But first, turnoffs. Can we talk turnoffs?
Yeah, music turn off specific. 'Cause I feel like the major ones are music related for me. I
Really?
cannot be with someone that doesn't have a similar music taste to me. It doesn't have to be the same. It does not have to be the same. You can listen to Summer Walker or I'm trying to think who else do I not don't listen to. You know what I mean? Like you can have a different music taste than me, but there has to be at least a considerable amount of overlap because you're gonna hate me if you don't like the music I listen to. I talk about it too much. It's all over my house. I'm always playing it. Like we're simply not compatible. If don't listen to like if you don't listen to Ghostface, what are we doing? Like I don't know. Like there has to be a little bit of overlap. Um, Aside from music, I don't know. I feel like I used to have this was like a popular thing a couple years ago, having an ick list where like
Mm.
where women would list like all like the little tiny things that were turn offs, and I had a list in my notes. It had like 50 things on it. Like it was huge. But they're not that's the thing, like none of them were deal breakers. It was all like, this would probably irritate me. Like if you argue with strangers online, like on Twitter, like go back and forth with people on Twitter, that's an ick. You're done. It's just not gonna work. Little things like that. But I feel like outside of like the more reasonable things, I feel like oh hey Wiles. I feel like I'm pretty, I don't think I'm too strict. Um, but the cheesecake, I think we're thinking of the same list. The cheesecake list, or the list
Yeah,
of
it's
like
like 30
unacceptable.
to 50 things,
Yeah.
date
Okay. You
places.
know what's
Yeah.
funny? When I saw the list of like all the things that women said were like not acceptable first dates. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to defend that list for two reasons. One, because
Oh,
it's made
whoa,
up.
whoa.
I'm going to defend
Oh,
the
okay.
list. One, because it's fake. It's very obviously like whatever. Because the person that posted was like, "Yeah, I spoke to a couple of women." I'm like, "What does that mean? You spoke to like three people on Facebook and got that list." Second, the list is really not as long as it seems because number 8 was fast food or like chain restaurants, and then like half of the list was just other chain restaurants. If you took out the duplicates, the list was like 4 things long, right? And the other ones were like church, the gym, like someone in
Ooh.
something in someone's house. Like most of the only ones I think were like kind of dragging it were the movies, ice cream, and like one other one, or bowling, right? But I was like, okay. Other than that, though, like it's reasonable. And also, like they specified first date specifically. I don't want to go, to church. I think that's reasonable. I'm sorry. I think that's reasonable. There was 3 on there that I'm like, no, these are acceptable. But here's the thing: women get on any app, and I stand beside women no matter what. They will meet my people come on this app, Twitter, Instagram every single day and talk about how they accept the bare minimum. Every day you see a viral video about some girl who was, having Taco Bell in somebody's Toyota as a first date. We see it every single day. Find the women will accept, Applebee's as a first date and fall in love. I feel like it's that simple. It's that simple.
Dang. Yeah. That was an unexpected answer. First of all, I don't even know what's on the list. I've only heard about the list, and I think somebody on my timeline had a video with the list, but I didn't read it. I just saw them talking about the list. And I was like, because it seemed like a big deal, and everybody that I've seen mention it has been all up in arms about it. Up in arms. I don't think I've ever used that phrase before, but today's
It works.
October 24th, 2023. So first time for everything. But yeah, so I was like, okay. And how long has this been going on? How long has this been a thing? This list? This specific list?
I saw it for the first time like maybe yesterday, I think, a couple
Okay.
days ago. But I think that's the thing, like they listed 17 different fat like chain restaurants to make the list seem long, to make it seem like, oh, women have this laundry list of things, places they don't want to go to. Like they're so unreasonable. And I feel like people just they were waiting for an opportunity to be like, and that's why you women need to like, like people were just waiting to get on their soapbox without, and they didn't even, I feel like most people didn't even read the list. They didn't even read it. Like they just saw the length of it and was like, yep, here's the evidence. Y'all asked for too much. And it's like, listen, in the real world, most of this doesn't matter. I personally can name like maybe 3 women that I know in real life that wouldn't accept bowling as a first date. Like maybe 3. So it's not like they're just like made up internet discourse.
Zahan said we going for a walk as a date. That's right. Zahan said they're on free. It's free to walk. You can walk at any point, anytime, anywhere.
Is
Walk on the
someone
wild
going
side.
Someone is going to really appreciate that.
It's just not you.
Not me
Did y'all
personally.
see the
No.
Did y'all see the video that the list came from? I just know it was a lady who wouldn't get out of a car with her date because they pulled up to Cheesecake Factory. That's all I know. I don't think I've
I
seen it.
also
Shaq, what up?
I also think that video was a skit. That's the other thing too. Like,
Yeah.
like it's so that's actually that's the TikTok lane I should have gone in because I feel like that would have been a way easier come up. Just making up fake relationship discourse scenarios and
Oh
just
yeah.
letting it run with it because it's so easy to just like or even like the girl with the 48 oysters. That was a true story, but it was like I'm like why is it like don't you like there's like two different wars going on. Why is this the headline? Why is this all up and down my For You page right now? Like didn't Drake just drop? Can we talk like let's go back to it's really got to be bad for me to say let's go back to Drake. Like I don't
Yeah.
know.
That's rough. That's rough. And that's funny. Oh, anybody, if you're in here passing through, appreciate y'all coming through. Uh, if you appreciate Adri, I mean, I see it's been sitting on $3.99 for a long time. I'm not saying you got to give, but go and hit Adri up in the gift section. You know you love her. You know you love her. You know you love her. So just show the love. It's all right. It's all right. What's next? What we about to eat? You mean after the walk? I'm so lost. I don't even know what that comment is relating to. I don't know. We love Adri. We love Adri. We do. We do. We do. We appreciate her. Did you have anything? Did anything pop into your head? I didn't ask you to come up with anything, but anything off the cuff? Can you freestyle a question, a topic? What you got? I know it's something in your spirit. We got to talk about this West Side Gun album. At least get your opinion on it as well.
Yeah, let's get that out the way. Um,
Ooh, okay.
I'll be honest, and
Come on with it.
I really gave it an honest chance. First listen, didn't really like it. But I was like, I'm gonna but also there was like two or three other albums that came out that night. So I'm like, let me just do it again. Let me just try again. Tried it again. I was like, I'm still not really feeling it. Maybe I need to listen to it in the car. Listen to it in the car, and I was like, that's actually like now, the thing about I feel like okay, there's two things that go into it. One, I have no issue with Griselda or West Side Gun specifically kind of branching out into different sounds. If he wants to start experimenting with trap, that's perfectly fine. I think Conway has done trap adjacent beats before. Benny has kind of towed the line a little bit, so like it's fine. I think the major issue with this album is like you can just feel how much ego is involved, and I think it's made them a little bit lazy. That may sound blasphemous to say, but I really don't think it is. Like he refers to himself as a god. Like we know that he has a pretty decent ego, but I think now it's to the point now where it's getting into the way of the music. And I feel like with trap specifically, I feel like or just in general, if you're gonna deviate to a different sound, I think you need to put like your best foot forward and really put in that effort. And we've seen it happen before. Like Kanye, I think is like the golden example. Like if you're gonna try a different sound, like really step and do it the right way. And this felt kind of lazy and like low effort, you know.
Hmm.
So I didn't really like it. Yeah, I don't think I've gone back to a single song on there outside of me trying to listen to the album. There was a couple that were like, okay, these are good, but they're just good. Like they're just okay. And because I know what them as a collective are capable of, it's just kind of disappointing. Actually, it's not even that disappointing because I low key expected it to be kind of not that great, just based off of the trajectory of the label in the past year or so. And what was the other thing? Like, there's one other point I had to make. West Side Gun still has me blocked before somebody asks. Um, I don't know why.
What?
Yeah, West Side Gun has me blocked on Instagram.
Come on, Abe. Wait, wait.
I'm so
You can't just throw
I'm
that out in passing. Like,
so see and now like anytime I mention him, somebody comments like, does he still have you blocked? I'm like, yeah, like he's not just gonna like let me wake up and unblock Adri today. I don't think it was anything personal. I don't think he like, because some people speculated like, oh, it's because you said this about like Stove God or whatever. And I'm like, I don't think that's what it is because I'm not blocked on TikTok. I think and I don't, I've never followed him on Instagram. I've never interacted with him. I've never commented on any of his posts. He just has like a very heavy block finger and just like blocks people. Like I'm not the only one. Like there's other people that have a similar story. They're just like, I woke up one day, I was blocked by West Side Gun. I'm like, oh, like okay, so like it's not just me. It's just kind of funny.
What?
But now, honestly, it gives me a sense of peace because now I know that he's not gonna see me critique the album, and I know he's not gonna like come at my neck for talking about it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's wild. I had no idea. So, but you and West Side Gun, I was going to mention Noah because I was going to mention Kitchen Lights. Noah and who is his arch? Is it No Name?
No
I
name.
think it's
Yeah.
yeah. Like what y'all be doing? I'm like, what y'all? Well, what do they see? What do they hear?
See,
Um,
Noah, no, the crazy thing with Noah too is like on that specific and like I saw that interaction go down before I even had TikTok. Like I knew who Noah was before I even knew who Noah was. And I remember seeing
really?
it. Yeah, I remember seeing that whole thing go down. I remember thinking like out of all of the people that are like really at your neck about this feature, you're going at Noah, you're going at like this one person specifically so hard. And the way he worded it was super like he wasn't being mean about it either. He's just like, wow, this is kind of disappointing. And it's just like exploded. And I'm like, this is why it just gets really like it's really risky to like try to interact with any type of celebrity or artist online because they don't they that those egos get in the way.
Wow, that's hilarious. Information again, more information I did not know. I had no idea about the West Side Gun thing. That's funny. I will say, since I brought it up, I didn't like the album either. I didn't like the album either. I didn't, but I saw other people like, oh man, this West Side Gun, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't think we're listening to the same thing.
Yeah, no.
And
And it's
just first of all, I'm okay with somebody rapping how they rap, whatever. Or you can't be offbeat. And I don't mean like normal offbeat, like flow differently on a beat. I mean like off of the beat on a trap. What is happening? I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense to me. I was like, so somebody's really like vibing to this. That's what y'all telling me? Because how? How?
and Marcus I think said it best where he basically said that like like Alchemist makes great beats, but he also makes beats like that are easy to rap over. Like it's easy to find the pockets, and even if you
Yeah.
don't find them, it's still gonna sound okay, you know. But like with a trap beat is just not as forgiving when it comes. Like you need to find those pockets, you need to stick to them, unless you're doing like a Detroit style thing where it's intentionally offbeat. But like whatever it is, it needs to be consistent. There needs to be more like it needs to be more intentional. And I feel like he just took his regular single soul sample loop flow and just tried to copy and paste it onto trap beats. And he thought like, oh, I'm West Side Gun, of course it's gonna work. And it's like, no, you need to put
Uh,
like, and I also think there's this assumption that trap music is like easier. It's less complex, it's less intentional, it's less intellectual, so it's easier to make. It's not, it's clearly, I think this is like a clear example of like, no, making trap music isn't inherently easier just because you value it less. It still takes skill, it's just a different skill set that we're used to seeing with West Side Gun.
yeah. Great point. Great point. Yeah, that joint had me like I couldn't I gave it a couple tries. And I kept going back to Kitchen Lights and I kept trying to find what Noah and Elsie, shout out to Elsie. Hopefully we'll be chopping it up next week or the week after. Um yeah, because they were both like into Kitchen Lights. I was like, this we must be listening to two different songs. I don't know what's happening,
See,
but I'm
everybody
listening.
keeps bringing up Kitchen Lights because that's the most like traditional West Side Gun type of song. And it's like, this is only a good song juxtaposed, or this is only it's a good song. It's only a great song juxtaposed to all of the bad songs. If you put Kitchen Lights on Pray for Paris, it would be like no one would be talking about it. But like on this album specifically, because there's so much other nonsense around it, it's like let's take what we can get. It's like going to a food pantry and finding sushi. Like, like, oh, like I didn't expect to find this. Like this is, higher caliber than we're used to. But if you go to, Nobu, you might be a little disappointed. So it's all about the
Mm,
context.
dang, I like that. I like that. Oh, so back to you. Back to you. I was asking if you had anything that you wanted to share, thoughts, topic, anything.
Mm,
Make it up. Make it up. Come on, Chris will freestyle it.
I'm not good. I'm not good at the just off
Lies,
the cuff.
lies, lies. I don't believe any of that because you came up with an off the cuff answer to the first question, which actually needed some thought, and you were like, bam. So don't try to play me.
Oh, one thing I've been thinking about a lot recently meaning like just today, is, and I know this conversation is so tired. This conversation is really like so tired, but like the whole old head versus new gen debate. And anytime that I say like you can't just use you're too young or you're too old to automatically discredit someone. Inevitably there's someone that says, well, it does still matter because, being from that generation adds an additional layer of like understanding or nuance, whatever. And like that's true, but I feel like people kind of look at it as like a math equation, or people look at it as like a scale. Like I have this added nuance or understanding or experience, so it makes my opinion matter more. Like it makes it hold more weight when like something can add to your like arsenal of knowledge without taking away from somebody else's. It
Mm,
can be a +1 for you without being a -10 for someone else. So like,
right.
yes, context matters in like growing, especially when we're talking about people that like experience the birth of an entire genre. Like that does have a lot of value. So I completely understand, but that adding that additional value doesn't make the younger generations, opinion less valuable. Like those two things can exist kind of without affecting each other, I feel like.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I think when people use it as a blanket statement or as like black and white, then that's when it becomes an issue. Or if it's somebody that doesn't really have an argument and they're just saying it because
Yeah.
that's the easiest way to get out of the argument. You're like,
It's all
ah, you don't, well, you don't know.
because sometimes it does matter. Like sometimes it does matter in both directions. Like, or even like regional differences. Like, experiencing 3 6 Mafia in the South is probably different from experiencing up north. Like there it is a difference, but like does that but like I think that also discredits the people that put in the work to try to understand experiences other than their own, when there's plenty of people whose only knowledge of hip hop is their firsthand experience. That might still be a lot if you grew up with hip hop and you grew up with the formation of it, but who's to say that like that you're, like I don't, there's no jury deciding like whose information is more valuable, because at the end of the day, like if we all have the common goal of loving this genre, it shouldn't really be a competition of like who knows more or who has a more valuable opinion. It really shouldn't matter.
I feel you on that. It's definitely, hey, Cheeto, what's happening? How you doing? It's definitely a battle, and it's probably not even. I think in another time frame, maybe the back and forth or the battle part of it may be less important. But it's in this time where everything is uh, old versus young.
Yeah.
So because we're in this specific time, everybody is like, this. This is just another block to add to the, the mountain of this discussion or argument or back and forth. It's wild though. But I think if my other thought about it is if if one person knows this much and they're older, and one person knows this much and they're younger, then that being their part might add to it and add to the validity. But if neither of y'all really know anything, like there's no argument. Like you're just trying to get out of the discussion and just
Right.
using that blanket statement just to discredit the other person.
Right. That's exactly how I feel about it. And It's like, are we? It's like, is the point of the conversation to just win and be right, or is the point of the conversation to like have a productive conversation about whatever the topic is? Because if the goal is just to be right, I'm just gonna let you win. You got it. You won. Congratulations. You could take your award. It's not that important for me to just be right all the time. But that's what a lot of
Now,
TikTok discourse has been reduced to.
I did two things. I've noticed that I can do a 4 minute video and somebody could think one thing I say is wrong in that 4 minute video, and the only thing they'll say is blah 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 blah, like that. What you said is wrong, and this is the right thing. I'm like, dog. So you watch this 4 minute video, and that's all you got from it, and you're wrong. On top of that, you're wrong. But that's like that. I don't like that. I don't like when
Yeah,
that bothers me. It
always
happened today.
they always nitpick on like the tiny or too, like what really irks me too is when it's like something so specific that like it doesn't even matter in the context of the video. Like one thing that I see a lot is people like you can make a whole video about something and like reference one specific project and they'll be like, oh well, the album you mentioned, that's actually not an album, it's a mixtape. Why does that matter in the context? Like that doesn't change the point that I made. And it's like I feel like you just wanted to say something and that was the first thing you thought
Yeah.
of. Or like I know like I try to I'm like very hesitant whenever I do any type of like music history videos. Because for a lot of the artists I listen to, like the history is not well documented. Like a lot of
Right.
like Makami, for example, he's not on any social media platforms. His lyrics are not on Genius. Like any resources people have about him and his contributions to what to Griselda or just like to whatever, it's very like everything has a question mark after it because it's like we don't really know. Like most of the stuff isn't really confirmed. Um, and I'll say like one thing that's like kind of questionable. It's like, oh, not really. And there will be, 80 like teenagers like actually have no idea what you're talking about. Every take that you have is wrong. You're constantly having the worst takes on this app because I said that like Makami started in like 2014 instead of 2012. You know what I mean? Like they're it's like people are just ready for you to be wrong. Like people are just ready for you to be wrong.
Yeah, that's it though. Because like it or not, you and me both, uh, some people think that we're experts on hip hop. Whether it's true or not, whether everybody agrees or not, there are people that think this is true, right? But I feel like other people come in to dispute something I say just to be right and think I said something wrong and they know the actual fact. I'm like,
Yeah.
you didn't come here just to do that, did you? Like that's not your whole purpose of being here, right? Because that's crazy. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's and the crazy thing too is like I've never claimed to be an expert on literally anything in my entire life. I've ever claimed to be an expert on anything, and it's like I remember I like vividly remember this for some reason. There's like because certain comments just like stick out and like they bother me. Some of them really do.
Definitely.
But I got this one comment that's like maybe the reason why you receive so much hate is because you act like you know more than you actually do. And I was like, and I'm like, what? And I'm like, one, I think that comes from one from me being a woman and like I think I'm expected to be more humble and like, whatever than the average person or the average like hip hop listener. But
Right.
like how are you going like what do you how are you going to assume that I know like and I'm very cautious of being like I might this might not be a fact. This might not be, I'm not or like this is just an opinion or like I'm very careful with my word choice and everything. So I'm like I don't act like I know everything. Maybe you just think that you see other people thinking that I know everything and that makes you mad. That's not my
Yeah.
fault though. And I'm not gonna like stop like I don't know. Or even like sometimes people are like, oh, I hate this take. Like this is a bad take. And I'm like, it's not a take. It's just me talking about music. Like not everything I say is a statement about music. It's not always a statement. It's not always like a critique. It's just me talking about music.
Right. Yeah. My other thing that I was going to say, uh, was you were saying it's not that important, like just to be right. It's not that important to be right. I got, I have a homie. Actually, it's probably anybody. At some point in life, I was just like, all right. So everything you're saying, like everything you say that's an opinion is wrong. Like everything you say is like it's wrong or disrespectful or whatever the case may be. But I don't care enough about your opinion to go back and forth with you or argue it or even correct you. I'm because you think you're right and I'm just gonna let you have it. That I don't know when I started that, but that's how I've been. I wish I wasn't like that so much sometimes. Because sometimes people just need to be like shot down. They just need to be shot down and kind of look. You don't know what you're talking about. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
That's it.
Certain things
But
like
the thing is, they won't stop after that though. They're not gonna stop. It's not like this is gonna be the last time they do it.
but that's the thing, like that's why like if I'm gonna respond to something, I'm gonna make a video off of it. Cause one, it's gonna be worth my time. Cause I'll at least benefit from it somehow. Two, I can actually like articulate my thoughts in like the right way. But I'm not going back and
Right.
forth in the comment section. I'm not doing it. Your comment if your comment is bothering me that much, I'll just delete it. But like to go back and forth in the comment, you got it. You won. You're right. I'm wrong. You can have that. It's fine.
I hear you. I hear you on that. All right, y'all. Look, we doing a limited edition source and Adri conversation. So we got like 5 minutes. I'll say 10 minutes though, because
Hold on.
you
Actually,
know another. I don't know if you're saying something, but
I might actually have to. I
frozen.
actually have to leave now.
Oh, okay, understood. Any
Oh,
last
somebody, hold on.
words?
Somebody asked me what my shirt says. It's Unwind ATL, the event that I helped to curate. Um, Follow me on Instagram because I'm doing another one, a similar event in December. That's my final advertisement.
Word. I want to hear about that another time. But yeah, appreciate you taking the time, A.
Absolutely. Thank you
Have
for the invite. Great conversation as always.
indeed, indeed. I'm sure we'll do it again soon enough. Be good.
Yeah. Good night, everyone.